Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. So this is going to be the second lesson in this series I'm making on the basics of Python. And in this video, we're going to be talking about something called variables. And okay, I think we can just basically pick up where we left off last time. So if you guys remember, this was the code from last time. And I showed you guys before, we can ignore lines by making them comments with this number sign at the beginning of the line. There's something else we can do that's related to this, which is called commenting out lines. So if we think we want to like temporarily get rid of a line, but we might want to add it back in later, we can do what's called commenting it out, which basically just means like putting a number sign on the beginning of every line like that to ignore it. But then that way, if we want to use it again, we can easily just add it back in. That's called commenting out lines. And idle actually gives us an easy way to do that rather than having to like enter a number sign on every line. We can just actually highlight this whole thing and then go to format and then comment out region. And that'll just put some number signs in the beginning of all these lines so that we can temporarily ignore these lines so that we don't have to keep running them every single time. But then this way, if you want to add them back in later, you can just, again, highlight the whole thing and just go to uncomment region and just add them back in. So yeah, I don't want to erase the code we wrote before, but I want to kind of move on for now. So I'm just going to put a note up here. So I'll just put like lesson 1. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I'll leave this up here for you guys, but it'll be commented out for now, so we won't have to like run it every single time, basically. So this lesson is about what's called variables. So say up here just variables, and a variable is used to store something. So I know it sounds a little bit vague right now, but that's the definition we're going to work with like at the moment, is just variables are used to store things. And I'll tell you guys in a bit a little bit more like rigorous definition of things. But for now, we're just going to think that a variable is something we can use in Python to store things. So just to give like a quick, easy example, I'll show you guys how to print hello world using a variable. So instead of printing like hello world like this, we can instead store this text in a variable, which maybe we'll call the variable test, and say test equals quotation marks hello world end quotation marks. So when we write this test equals, we're defining a variable called test, which is going to store the text. And remember, anything in between these quotation marks is treated as text in Python, storing the text hello world. So then instead of saying print hello world, we can say print our variable and then run this and have it print hello world. So that's one example of something we can store in a variable. So yeah, this is a variable called test, and when we're saying test equals, we're saying, okay, we're going to store something in this variable, and the thing that we're going to store in this case is going to be this text in quotation marks hello world. Besides that, we can also store numbers. So we can make a variable called x, for example, and say x equals 1. So basically we're storing the number 1 in this variable. And then we can print out x if we want to and run that. And then yeah, this will print our first variable test hello world, second variable, which is x, storing the number 1. And yeah, you can see that when we print out x, we get 1 here. We can also use variables to do calculations with. So we can make another variable. Maybe we'll say y equals 2.4. Just make it a decimal number just to mix things up a bit. And then we can make another variable z where we define z to be x plus y. And then we can print out z. And at this point, z should be storing 1 plus 2.4, so it should be storing 3.4, right? Yeah. So that's basically, hopefully seems pretty simple so far. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about what kind of things we can store in these variables and what these things are exactly. But for now, we can just think that we can use variables to store text, which is between quotation marks, or numbers, which are just numbers. And we define the variable with the equal sign, so we can just say the name of the variable equals, and then whatever we want to store in the variable. Now, there are some rules when it comes to what you're allowed to name your variables. So just to show you guys an example of this, I'm going to show you guys an example of a name that's not allowed. So this will be actually our first Python error, actually. So I'm going to try making a variable called onTest and have this be storing a piece of text in quotation marks that just says this is a test. And so I'm going to try running this with this variable named onTest. And just see what we get. And okay, it didn't work. We got this error message saying invalid decimal literal, which is a little bit confusing. But basically the reason it didn't work is that we're not allowed to begin a variable with a number like this. A variable name can have numbers in it, so we could call it test 1, 2, 3, for example. So basically a variable name can be like letters or a combination of letters and numbers like this, but it can't start with a number. That's against the rules, and if we do that, Python will give us an error. So that was an example of our first Python error, basically. So maybe I'll actually leave that, but comment it out and just say this is an example of an error. This variable name is not allowed. But yeah, we could call it like test 1, 2, 3 equals this is a test. Also, like I was showing you guys before, we can have spaces here or not. We don't need these spaces. But yeah, we can also like print out this and then run it, and yep, should be okay. Yeah, so that's basically variables. Again, if anything seems confusing at this point, we're going to start explaining things in more detail pretty soon. But yeah, just the easiest way to think of variables is that a variable is used to store things. And again, we're going to talk more soon about what a thing is, really. But yeah, just for now, just think of it like we can store things using variables by saying variable name equals and then the thing we want to store. And so yeah, we can see we did a couple examples with text and with numbers, and then with the results of calculations even. Okay, so that's basically all I have for you guys for this video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.